weekend is. No, the fact that Rodney King died is not the big news from over the weekend. The big news from over the weekend is not that Obama decided to bypass Congress and usurp the Constitution. No, 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 no. The big news was that some reporter had the nerve to try to ask Obama a question about his actions while he was reading his teleprompter announcing his latest dictate. I kid you not. It was all over the Sunday shows. They want this guy censored. They want him thrown in jail for not showing proper respect to the king. This guy Neil Monroe from the Daily Caller, they want the Daily Caller shut down. They want Chatsworth Osborne Jr. strangled by his bow tie. It's I don't know. It's amazing. It actually is not. But that's what's given the White House press corps and the rest of the people inside the Beltway the vapors. Imagine heckling the president by asking him a question. And they want this guy's press credentials rescinded. Neil Monroe is his name for the Daily Caller. Greetings, folks. It's great to have you here. Telephone number 800-282-2882. The email address lrushbaugh@eibnet.com. I watch all this. I listen to all this. And anybody ever heard the name Sam Donaldson? Oh, for crying out loud, what do you hate? What do you think Sam Donaldson did to Reagan all during the 80s? In fact, the press had a technique during the 80s, and it's something that took hold, and for all Republican presidents thereafter, it has been utilized. Yeah, Rather did it to Nixon. I mean, this is common. This is what journalists are supposed to do out there. But when Reagan finished an appearance, Sam Donaldson would either shout a question, and then everybody would start shouting questions as Reagan walked away, and they kept it up, and the whole point was to make Reagan appear aloof and unresponsive, and sometimes even senile, feeble, deaf, unable to hear. It was all part of a campaign. We went back. In fact, who found this? It's Daily Caller found this. In fact, the outfit, the Chatsworth Osborne Jr.'s outfit, went back and found a 1987 AP story, Why Do Grown Men and Women Shout at President Reagan? According to many, the Daily Caller's Neil Monroe breached protocol by shouting a question during a Rose Garden statement by President Kardashian on Friday, but an Associated Press article 1987 reveals that Monroe's behavior is hardly unprecedented. Over at the conservative media blog Newsbusters, Tom Bloomer has unearthed an October 14, 1987 AP story by Christopher Connell that asks, why do grown men and women shout at President Reagan? In his piece, Connell explains and justifies aggressive behavior by reporters that cover the White House. Connell wrote, grown men and women are shouting at President Reagan at the top of their lungs. They do it for a living. Get over it. He didn't write get over it. I threw it in there because that's what he means. Get over it. That's what they do for a living. Not anymore. Not anymore. They're stenographers today. Finally, you ask the president a question when he's usurping the Constitution, and guess who gets in trouble? You do. You're not supposed to interrupt the king like this. Connell noted that the shouting even took place at ceremonies. But this guy Connell, Christopher Connell, 1987 AP story, ended up blaming Reagan and his aides for all this. But they say the blame rests with Reagan and his aides, who have sharply curtailed opportunities for the press corps to engage the president under more civil circumstances. So the fact Reagan wasn't doing a whole lot of press, 1987, Iran-Contra, Reagan's not appearing a lot. When he went out there, they just shouted left and right before he speaks, during his comments, when he is leaving the podium, they shouted, and it was his fault because he wasn't giving them enough of an opportunity to shout at him and to interrupt him. Now, maybe there might have been two, but one reporter basically asked one question, and the press corps chases this guy all the way down to the Washington Monument. I mean, it's just, I don't know, folks. We just have to laugh about it. But a lot of it A lot of it is not funny when you get right down to it. But Mr. Bloomer at Newsbusters notes that this aggressiveness with the White House press corps occurred throughout both of Reagan's terms, likely in an attempt to make the president seem aloof and standoffish. And all Monroe did was ask the question that should have been on the mind of every American watching. Why do you favor foreigners over Americans here? You're going to flood the job market with 800,000 illegal kids or youths. Why are you giving them precedence and favorable treatment over Americans? News media used to call that speaking truth to power. But not any longer, ladies and gentlemen. How about Helen Thomas? I mean, Sam Donaldson, Mr. President, Mr. President. Sam, what's her name? Helen Thomas and Sam. Now, what a tag team duo that was. Some of you, these names may not mean anything to you, at least in terms of their historical context. But look, there's nothing new under the sun here, except this. Asking questions, this is mild. Obama gets kid glove treatment, for crying out loud. They wear mittens when they go in there and ask these questions. They make the guy a baby. They're making him out to be a baby. Can't handle a question from a website news organization. Remember last week, might have been the week before, these days all run together, but Time Magazine's Mark Halperin asked for a truce. We were laying too many gloves on Obama. Said, call for a truce. Okay, let's stop making a big deal out of these comments that these candidates make that they don't really mean. They're a little off the wall. Let's stop blowing this stuff all up. That's only because Obama was being heard by. Well, today, Chris Cillizza, Democrat frontman, writing actually it's yesterday in the Washington Post. Can any president succeed in today's political world? It's so mean out there, and it's so partisan out there that, I don't think any president could actually govern anymore because it's so mean. Here's how he starts his story. Lost in the chatter about whether Obama will win a second term in November. See, they admit that's the chatter. Whether Obama will win a second term. Lost in that chatter is an even bigger and perhaps even more important question than whether Obama... Can you believe the drive-bys say there's something more important than whether or not Obama will win a second term? What, pray tell, might that be? Well, let's read further. Perhaps an even more important question is it possible for a president, any president, to succeed in the modern world of politics? Are these guys throwing it in? It's impossible. It's impossible for President Kardashian to govern. It's so mean out there. Consider this, writes Mr. Cillizza. We're in the midst of more than a decade-long streak of pessimism about the state of the country. No, we're not. The streak's 3.5 years, maybe 4 at the outside. There wasn't any kind of pessimism about the country in 2005 and 2006. The pessimism began in 2007 when Pelosi and the gang took over the House and started implementing their policy. The pessimism began when Obama was elected, then did the stimulus, then did health care, started doing damage to the economy. That's when the pessimism began. There wasn't any pessimism before then, nothing out of the ordinary.